The screams at the abandoned house. I'm a cop, based out of Kanawha County, West Virginia. Been in law enforcement for over a decade now, and I've seen my fair share of weird. But what happened that night just north of Sissonville still gets under my skin. It was a Tuesday, just past midnight. I'd wrapped up a long shift out of Charleston and was taking Route 21 north toward home. The roads were dead. No cars, no lights, just trees, hills, and shadows. I was maybe 10 minutes from my driveway when I heard it. A scream, high-pitched, terrified, a girl's voice. I slowed down, turned off the radio and cracked the window. At first there was nothing, just the sound of crickets and the faint hum of the engine cooling. Then I heard it again, quieter this time, but still there. I radioed it in, said I was checking out a possible disturbance, then pulled onto an overgrown gravel path that cut into the woods. At the end of that path was a house, old, leaning to one side. I'd passed it before, once or twice during patrols. Locals called it the Barker House, said it had been abandoned since the 90s. No lights, windows cracked or missing, mailbox hanging by one rusted screw. Honestly, it looked like something out of a horror movie. I stepped out of the cruiser, hand on my sidearm. The air out there was wrong, heavy, still. Even the frogs had stopped croaking. I started across the yard, tall grass up to my knees, vines wrapped around the porch columns. Something in the distance let out a low growl, maybe a dog. Then silence again. I knocked on the front door. Kanawha County Sheriff's Office. Anyone inside? No response. Then that scream again, closer, and this time a man's voice, yelling something I couldn't make out. "Police, open the door now," I shouted louder. Still nothing. I kicked the door in. The air inside was thick, like mold and rot and old wood, rotten floorboards, peeling wallpaper, no power, just the narrow beam of my flashlight cutting through the dust. No furniture, no photos, just long empty halls and broken tiles. But the voices, I could still hear them, crying, shouting. I moved down the hallway, my boots creaking with every step, until I reached a door at the very back of the house. Something about it felt wrong. I took a breath and kicked it open. 2 men. One was standing over someone, the other near the far wall. The second guy took off instantly, bolted past me and out the side door. I had to make a split-second call, so I kept my weapon on the one who stayed. Hands in the air. Now. He froze, dropped. I cuffed him fast, and in the corner, a girl, maybe 19, shaking, eyes wide like she couldn't even process what was happening. It took some time, but once she calmed down, she told me the story. She was from Huntington, saw an ad online, cleaning work, cash job, just outside of Charleston. She drove up that afternoon, said the guy seemed normal enough at first, but once she stepped inside, they locked the door behind her. No phone signal, no way out. They told her she was gonna stay a while. She didn't go into much detail, and honestly, I didn't press. I got her out to my cruiser, called in backup, took the guy into custody, but that's where it gets strange. When backup arrived, we swept the house. No trace of the second man, no footprints, no signs of food, no power, no personal belongings, nothing, like no one had been living there, just a crumbling shell of a place. One of the deputies said, "It's like the whole place is staged, like a movie set." 2 nights later, I still couldn't sleep. Something just didn't sit right. So I drove back out to the same gravel path. But when I got there was nothing. No house, no driveway, no mailbox, just trees. thick woods and brush, like nothing had ever been there. I even pulled up the coordinates from my dash cam footage. Same spot, no structure, not even a foundation, and that job listing, still online, same wording, same number, still active. I'm a police officer, and this happened during one of my regular night shifts. For the last couple of days, I had been feeling a bit off. Maybe just tired. That night, while taking a quick nap in the office, I got a call from dispatch. A family reported that a strange kid was bothering them at night. I was confused, and honestly, a bit irritated. A random kid causing trouble in the middle of the night. It sounded like a prank, or at most a harmless issue, not something requiring police intervention. So I ignored it at first. But just a few minutes later, dispatch called again. This time, the operator sounded urgent. Since I was the only officer present at the station, I decided to check it out. When I arrived at the address, I saw a newly refurbished house with a well-kept garden out front. The place looked peaceful, even inviting, which only made me more curious. I knocked on the door. A man, maybe in his early 30s, opened it and welcomed me in. I asked him what exactly was going on. He told me that for several days, a boy, around 6 or 7 years old, had been coming into their garden in the afternoons. He would wander around, seemingly aimless, and occasionally tried to play with their son, who was about the same age. That alone wasn't too unusual, but tonight, after dusk, they saw the boy inside their house, playing with their son. They asked the boy where he lived and told him to go home, but he didn't respond. Then, as night fell, the boy suddenly disappeared, just vanished without saying a word. They thought it was over and went about their night. But around midnight, the mother heard noises from the children's room. She went to check and was stunned to find her son wide awake, still playing with the same boy. She asked him again, gently but firmly, "Where's your family? How did you get in?" No reply. After hearing all this, I decided to speak with the boy myself. I followed the mother into the room, but as soon as I entered, the boy turned and shoved me. Hard. Without a word, he ran out. I was startled, but gave chase immediately. He ran straight through the hallway, out the front door, and into the garden. He stopped near a tall tree. I started to approach him, but froze. From his eyes, I swear I saw sparks flickering like tiny bolts of electricity. A chill ran down my spine. My entire body went cold. The boy began running again through the garden. I shouted for him to stop, but just then I heard a scream, the mother's voice, and right before my eyes, the boy vanished, gone. No smoke, no sound, just gone. I stood there, stunned. Was I hallucinating? Was I okay? The father came out, pale and shaken, and said to me, "Officer, please, come inside. You're sweating a lot. Maybe you've got a fever." I sat down and had a cup of coffee, trying to calm down. I was still trying to convince myself I hadn't imagined it. Eventually I left and returned to the station. I filed a report, though I wasn't even sure how to explain what I saw. Strangely, I never got another call from that family again. A few weeks later, something kept nagging at me, so I went back to check on the house. When I got there, it was empty. I knocked. No answer. I asked a neighbor what happened. She said the family had packed up and left just a few days after my visit. They said something wasn't right about this place. She told me. Something they couldn't explain. To this day, I still wonder what I saw in that garden, and who, or what, that boy really was.